This review has been made possible thanks to the generosity of OCDReproductions.com.
Jared? Is that you?
Right, it's Jared from Avalanche Reviews.
Yeah, man, those reviews are great. They're totally awesome. Everybody should go check them out. I mean, hey, I like your trash classics and your talking points. Hey, remember that one where...
Yes, right. Listen, we don't have time to talk about my sweet reviews that are totally amazing. Without your help, I'm not going to be able to move on.
Yeah, sure thing, man. What can I do to help your lost soul, huh?
Before I can finally rest, I need you to help me review Sweet Home for the NES.
Really? Sure, but aren't you like the big survival horror fan? What do you need me for?
Well, yeah, but, I've been busy and there's just a lot. Listen, get off my back. So can you help me or not?
I understand. I'll save you, buddy. I am SuperDerek, and this is Sweet Home.
Remember way back when I was reviewing Breath of Fire? I said something then that, as it turns out, wasn't entirely true. I said that Breath of Fire was the first RPG developed by Capcom. Sure, Capcom recognizes Breath of Fire as their first traditional RPG, but Capcom is hiding a little secret. Long ago, Capcom made an RPG so gruesome, so grotesque, and so vile that not even Nintendo of America could censor it enough to pass guidelines. A game that was never meant to see the light of day in the West. A game that you could argue was born dead. But time marches forward and the folly of men knows no bounds. After a decade of waiting to be unleashed, Musashi and Ataru created a localization of the game, a portal through the boundaries of time and language, through which the darkness crept like a plague into the West. Through wicked sorcery known by some as the Postal Service, OCD Reproductions saw fit that a specimen would find its way into my hands. I present to you Sweet Home for the Nintendo Entertainment System. In Sweet Home, you play as a group of 5 characters: the boss, the boss's daughter, a maid, a nurse, and the cameraman, who are creating a documentary about an eccentric artist while exploring his decrepit mansion in search of his final fresco. You can divide your team into 2 or more groups, which you can switch between at any point. You can stick to their original names, which come from a movie that inspired the game, but it's recommended that you change the names to those of your friends and family to really get the full effect for when they're brutally murdered by the traps, ghosts, and monsters festering in the darkness. In Sweet Home, for me, it wasn't the story of the game that stole the show, it was the way it was presented. Sweet Home is a sufficiently creepy game, which is a surprising feat considering the nature of visuals on the 8-bit console. Everything was designed with the expressed purpose of making it hard for you to sleep at night. For instance, you're given a team of 5 people, but it can only travel in groups of 3 and fewer, which guarantees that one group will always be more vulnerable than the other, adding to the anxiety. And much like Breath of Fire, each character has a unique skill which is all but required to progress, or to at least keep your other characters alive. Fortunately, during battle you're given an option to call for help, which gives your other party 30 seconds to make it to you, at which point they can join the battle. Other commands include attack, use an item, use your character's specific tool, and pray, which can deal a great amount of damage, but like magic, spends points from a limited pool. You can replenish your faith points only by using a potion, which are scattered about but are not dropped by monsters, nor is gold for that matter, since there are no shops. The feeling of isolation in this game is so complete. You are alone in a haunted house, and all that you have at your disposal is that which you can scavenge. Your only hope of survival is to solve the puzzle of the mansion before your life is eventually whittled away from every last member of your party. And I'll say this again because it bears repeating. The way that the game is presented is, well, haunting. The music of the game isn't the prettiest. It may not be Beethoven, but it builds tension and puts you on edge. Inside battles, it ramps up and reminds me a bit of music from Ghosts and Goblins. Visually, the game isn't much to look at either, outside of battle. It's the cutscenes that really manage to pull everything together. Capcom didn't pull any punches when animating the zombies and possessed dolls that ambush you around every corner. The game leaves just enough to your imagination, which is scarier than anything Capcom could ever put onto a cartridge.
Yeah, that's all well and good, Derek, but you're forgetting to mention how important this game has been to the entirety of the survival horror genre.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Since you're the expert, maybe you want to fill everyone in?
No, I thought you'd never ask. 1996, the Arklay Mountains outside of Raccoon City. This is the point of origin for all survival horror games. Jill and Chris's desperate attempt at escaping a mansion filled with the undead and other bioweapons was the first game of its kind and would go on to inspire every horror game that preceded it. This, along with the fact that humans need air to live, is known to even the newest gamer and some of the more discerning house pets. But what you may not know is Sweet Home inspired almost every single mechanic, quirk, and playstyle that would soon become the most common elements shared between every survival horror game. Item-based puzzles that require backtracking and level memorization, limited inventory management, an emphasis on survival, and even the seminal door opening screen. All of these elements can be traced directly back to Sweet Home. And if that's not enough proof for you, the most interesting tie between it and Capcom's main horror franchise is the fact that Resident Evil started its life as a remake of Sweet Home. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, that's a pretty insane revelation. All this time we've been giving credit to this PS1 giant, but from the ground up, Resident Evil was using another game as its design blueprints. Really, when you think about it, without this little Famicom cartridge, gamers would have never known the terror that the Umbrella Corp was capable of in Resident Evil. They would have never experienced the terrible fate of Alessa and reality-warping effects of the spiritual power held by a town in Silent Hill. And we may never have suffered through the hell that is Countdown Vampires, although on second thought, that might not have been that bad. Look, the point is, if you're a fan of terrifying horror and video games, you have Sweet Home to thank. Without it, survival horror would have never existed, and the gaming landscape as we know it would have been forever altered.
Whoa, you got pretty deep there, man.
Are you kidding? I can get way more in depth than that. Let's talk about the genius behind the design of the Spencer Mansion, or how about the misconception that Silent Hill's story is open to interpretation?
Well, maybe we should just stick to Sweet Home for now on this one, okay?
Fine.
Sweet Home as a game series hasn't really been touched since the remake that was turned into Resident Evil. Because the translation that I have was performed by a dedicated group of fans and not Nintendo, it's not likely that we'll ever see this game come out in the United States for the Virtual Console or Xbox Live Arcade or anything like that. So your only chance of playing this game on original hardware is to snag the original Japanese Famicom cartridge for around $10 to $20 off eBay, or pay a little more for a reproduction with a translation, which can run anywhere from $30 for just a basic cartridge to nearly $100 for a complete copy by Time Walk Games, who are now on indefinite hiatus.
And that pretty much sums up Sweet Home. So, how was that? Did we do it? Can your soul finally move on to the great beyond?
What are you talking about?
You know, so your soul can finally rest in peace, right?
Well, yeah, I was dead tired, and I didn't want to rest until I got the review done.
Wait, you're alive? I thought you were a ghost.
We've been planning this video for months. Wait a minute. You do know this is just an episode of your show, right? I mean, there's a camera right there.
Oh, you're right. Huh. Weird. I guess I just got so wrapped up in all the amazing special effects that I couldn't even tell the difference.
There were some pretty sweet effects.
Huh, well, something still doesn't quite seem right. I mean, if that's the case, where did this game come from?
Wait, dude, you already said it came from OCD Reproductions at the beginning of the video. Did you hit your head or something? Did you hit your head or
Oh.
Wow. Those are some terrible special effects.
Oh God. Even my dreams are a cliche.
Or are they?